The AFL has a very diverse player base made up of many people from many different sporting backgrounds, including basketball, Gaelic, and even soccer. But history has shown that rugby players are in no way fit for the AFL. The Gold Coast Suns made history in 2009 when they signed the AFL's first ever rugby player, Carmichael Hunt. And Hunt had an okay career, scoring 6 goals in 44 games. But the following year, in 2010, the GWS Giants signed Israel Folau.
Giving it to Folau! Israel Folau!
The second rugby superstar turned AFL player in the sport's history. Keep in mind that no rugby players have joined the league since, and that comes as a result of both these players' careers, especially Folau, not living up to their expectations. Folau was paid roughly $1 million a season, which put his salary up there with the likes of Brisbane hard nut Jonathan Brown and all-time Carlton great Chris Judd.
How does he manage this?
But Folau had 3 problems that meant he was never going to be anything more than a bench warmer for the Giants. The first problem was his goal kicking. He kicked 2 goals, 8 behinds across his short 13-game career, but when you watch footage of him kick, he appears to have a very straightforward yet effective technique. This is because, unlike players who began at a younger age, new players are taught perfect technique by professionals at the club. Mason Cox is a prime example of this, with him kicking an astonishing 17 goals, 7 behinds in just his first season. So why was Folau so inaccurate? Well, from the limited footage I could find, he appeared to struggle in general play, albeit having a great set shot. The one behind I could find that he missed was straight in front, with someone a few metres behind him, showing that he couldn't handle the tiniest amounts of pressure. This makes sense, as Israel Folau is a fullback in rugby, and so he's required to kick up and unders, which is essentially a set shot with a tiny bit of added pressure from players running at you. His poor goal kicking was made even more of a problem as he was primarily a forward, compared to someone like Carmichael Hunt who played more of a midfield role, but still kicked a similar number of goals per game. His second problem was his physical fitness. Former GWS captain Callum Ward even went as far as to say that he was their worst runner by a long way, even though he'd already improved it so much. The first notable cause of this is his muscle, which he needed for rugby as it is a much more physical sport. However, AFL requires lean muscle mass over just any muscle mass. The Giants fitness staff obviously noticed this, with fitness coach John Quinn stating that when he first came into the league, he was really top heavy and his legs were quite heavy, with Folau later slimming down and building core strength. This shows how important redistribution of muscle mass was for Folau, with one season obviously not enough time to reach perfect physical condition. This is supported by Israel saying that he still had a lot of work to go and that he hadn't reached his peak fitness level at the end of his first and final AFL season. The third and most problematic reason towards why Folau's stint in the AFL failed so horribly is that he didn't even want to play. Folau is Polynesian, and according to him, there are 3 pillars to Polynesian life: family, finances, and faith. And it was the family and finances that brought him to the AFL. His dad told him to do it for the money, and he felt forced into playing. The AFL was going to pay him $1 million a season, compared to his expected offer of $600,000 from rugby union team, the Melbourne Rebels. Folau hated his time at the club because he wasn't happy, didn't care about the money, and just wanted to get back to playing rugby league. But Israel says that after quitting, him and his dad now have a 10 times better relationship, so I guess him quitting the AFL was the right choice. I don't even think GWS expected Israel Folau to be any good, and it's the same with Gold Coast and Carmichael Hunt. Both just seem like marketing ploys to attract audiences for relatively new clubs. I would say that Folau would have to be the worst AFL player in history, taking into account the high expectations everyone had for him and his failure to meet them.